Ali Tabatabaee, who is one of two main vocalists in the rock band Zebrahead, invites you to join us for an exclusive interview. Real rock and roll news. From the legends of rock, you found rockonamerica.live. We're bringing rock and roll to America and beyond. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe.
Summer 1996, La Habra, California, was the birthplace of an unorthodox musical fusion. Guitarist Greg Bergdorf and drummer Ed Udhus, both formerly of 409, bassist Ben Osmundson, and singer Justin Mauriello, birthed a unique blend, leading them to form a new band, Zebrahead. They drew influence from bands like Fugazi and Descendents. They broke the mold by incorporating elements of hip-hop into their sound, leading to the inclusion of Tehran-born rapper Ali Tabatabaee as a co-vocalist. Their first song, Check, was included on their first demo tape, One More Hit. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. In 1999, while on the Warped Tour, Tabatabaee was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease. Despite undergoing chemotherapy and radiation therapy, he continued to work on their album, Playmate of the Year. Join Mark Lewis with Rock on America magazine as he interviews Ali Tabatabaee of Zebrahead.
Hi, this is Mark with Rock Over America magazine, and today I have the extreme pleasure of talking to a gentleman from a band that you guys have heard the song Get Back before. It was minor Radiohead. That was a couple of years ago. And you guys probably don't remember them, and you may remember them, and that song may try to remember it, but these guys, if you think of bands like Green Day and Linkin Park and things like that, well, these guys go kind of way above and beyond that in one sense, because these guys really do have a true, kind of like Green Day's album, but going back even further than that. You know, you remember Sum 41 and this and that, but there was a band called Zebrahead that really now defines what punk rock is, and they have a sense of humor. They're rock, they're metal, they're punk, they're this, they're that, but what they are is really, they're just a great rock band, whatever you put the label on it. Without further ado, it's Ali from Zebrahead. How are you doing, Ali?
I'm doing good, Mark. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
I really like your introduction, I gotta say.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Yeah, I try. So I try to do my research, and I try to make sure I'm prepped for these things. Even when I know Ben, I try to find little obscure things on that. And like if I was interviewing Gene Simmons, I would also mention that he was a rabbi, and it was a gentleman who probably never thought about becoming a rock musician in the beginning.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, he had actually started to be a rabbi.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll look into that. Maybe that'll help me.
There you go. But anyway, excuse me. So, let's go back to the beginning. When you were growing up as a kid, what did you listen to?
When I was growing up, mainly all my friends and I played basketball, and everybody on the basketball team used to listen to hip-hop music to get pumped up before games and practices and stuff. So I mainly grew up listening to hip-hop and rap music like NWA because it was so aggressive and kind of raw, and it definitely pumped me up. And then, eventually I got into other things like, Tribe Called Quest. I thought they had a different style of hip-hop, which wasn't really aggressive but more cerebral. And then, later on, like Rage Against the Machine. And then once in high school, like, my friends were all metalheads, so, they got me into Metallica, and it was something I hadn't really paid attention to, but it was just as aggressive, and I really, for some reason, liked that about metal, so I kind of started listening to more metal and then punk rock, like No Effects and stuff like that, so it kind of, I listen to everything now, but it started out mainly as hip-hop or rap music for me.
Cool. And what was that one thing, that who or what, that made you realize that you wanted to be a musician? You saw it, you heard it, you're reading something. What was that one thing that made you want to do this for a career?
I think if I had to pick a moment where I thought, wow, this would be something that would be an amazing career to have, I saw Pearl Jam play at the Palladium once, and Rage Against the Machine opened, and this was before they were on the radio or anything, and they were like throwing out these cassette tapes, and they had matchbooks taped to them, and they were so raw, and they had so much energy, and it was like this like metal band, but they had this rap guy in it, and that really inspired me, thinking, this could be something that I would really like to do.
Cool. Can I ask you a question before we kind of go on to Ben? How did you get on the Real Big Fish DVD?
Yeah, we've been friends with those dudes forever, and Aaron, we were doing a tour together, and Aaron asked me one day if I would go up and do the Operation Ivy cover with him, and so we did it for the whole tour, and then when we got back home, he mentioned to me that they were filming a DVD, and if I'd be cool with going down and doing the cover on the DVD, and obviously I said yeah, it would be great. So I got on a Real Big Fish DVD.
Cool. What was that like doing that?
It was really cool. Like I said, I've been friends with Aaron and the Real Big Fish guys for a long time. Before that, it was just kind of the cool thing for me personally to play with them on that whole tour, and then to be able to be on their DVD. It was a really positive experience overall.
Well, and there's one other thing I want to bust you guys out on here too. You and Maddie, you guys did the vocals for His World for Sonic the Hedgehog too.
Yep, yeah, we did that.
How did you feel when you got asked to do songs for video games? I mean, it's not Guitar Hero or anything like that, but it's Sonic, which is one of the biggest video games of all time. That had to have been really cool too.
Yeah, it was really cool. Initially, when we've had songs on different video games, like we had one of our songs called Check that was on the Tony Hawk 3 skateboarding game, but that was our own song that we just gave to them. For the Sonic video game, they actually approached us and said, hey, could you write a song that's specific, for the video game? And that was something that we really hadn't done, and it was interesting to do. And actually, a lot of people know us from just that one song because the video game is so huge.
Okay, and no, but that's got to be a good way to get fans to come in there to see some playing a video game. Did you guys realize that was going to bring a lot of fans in there, or you didn't think about it at the time?
You never know. Honestly, with stuff like that, it's really a hit or miss thing, and you never count on it. But we definitely started noticing it after the game came out, and people started coming up to us and letting us know that they heard us from the game and came to the show because of the game or bought our CDs and stuff. So I think afterwards you kind of are more aware of it than when you're going into it, because it's kind of a Hail Mary. You never know. Sometimes it just doesn't stick.
Okay, and you guys have actually been pretty big label success from the beginning, really, and you guys are currently at least overseas affiliated with Sony Music Japan. So how does that help? Because I know it's smaller labels over here, but how does that help? Does that help? Does that hurt in any way? Does that kind of open the door, even if it's like Sony Music Japan? Does that help in any way? Does it kind of make it hurt a little bit? I think that's an interesting question, because a lot of times, you don't think of an artist based over here that's on a foreign label. I mean, maybe a metal band might be in a German metal label, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think ultimately, regardless of how big the label is that you get signed to, the most important thing is how strongly they back your band and how much they believe in your band.
Right.
Sony Japan, from the onset when we signed with them, when we started, they believed in us and really pushed us throughout the years, and they've been a great support to us, and it's been a very beneficial relationship for us. And then there's smaller labels that if they have that same belief in you, they can open doors for you as well. It's just the thing that sucks sometimes is you sign with, let's say, a big label, and then you're just one out of hundreds of bands that they have to deal with, and you kind of get pushed aside. And if there's nobody there that's pushing for you, you if they don't really believe in you as much. And that's where you run into trouble at being in a band. And I think that's the most important thing, is to get a real feeling for the people that are signing you and to see how much they're willing to do to, promote you, to get you out there, to get you, your album out, your song out. And are they in it for the long term, are they in it for the short term? There's so many different variables when signing of a label, but all obviously bigger labels like Sony have a lot more capital to put behind you, and if they do believe in you, then it definitely makes a difference.
I hope that's an okay question, because I know that there are a lot of artists out there that struggle and try, and I don't think I would have ever thought, if I had a band, that I would have gone over to Japan for a record label or try to go that way or anything. I mean, Quiet Riot did back in the 70s, but I mean, it's not something you think of, so I hope that was an okay question, because I think it's not something that everybody thinks of all the time.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think, we've been very fortunate with Sony Japan and our bands, especially in Japan, but all over the world, for, allowing us to have a career for as long as we have.
Okay, and let's do this. How did you come, because you weren't there right in the beginning, how did you come into Zebrahead, first of all?
Actually that's a well-known misconception. I was in the band from the onset of the band. The way it kind of came about, Zebrahead, was after I graduated from college, I had a year off, and I moved back home to Fullerton, to the Habra area where I grew up, and I had known Ben, our bass player, through high school. We used to be good friends, and we kind of grew apart through college, because he was doing his own thing. I was in school, he was in a different school, and he joined a band called Three Fly. And so when I was home for a year after college, I would go to meet him at band practice when he was with Three Fly, and then afterwards we'd go out, and do whatever. But there were other bands that were practicing in the studio. So when I get there, I met Ed and Greg, and they were in a band called R.O.A.M, and Justin was in a band called Once There. And those three bands all rehearsed together. So, I'd get there waiting for Ben to finish up before we went out, and, Ben would be playing bass, and then Ed and Greg would come in and start warming up, and Ben would say, hey, you come up and rap something, and I'd, memorize, NWA songs or Tribe Called Quest songs or whatever, and I'd go up there and rap as they were playing, and then Justin was there too, and he started playing as well, and so it was kind of a random thing. Ben's band, which was Three Fly, was having a CD release party 2 weeks from the day we started, and they were an altered band were playing. And they're like, dude, what we should do is we should write a song and go in at the CD release party, and while there's a set change, we'll go up and play that new song, whatever. And so we wrote a song called Chet, and we didn't have a name for the band or anything, so I had seen a movie called Zebrahead the night before, and we needed a name for the band, so Ben, I was like, why don't we use Zebrahead, and we'll change it if we decide to keep playing. And, we put it on the poster, whatever, little flyers, and we went and played that one song in between the set changes, and it got a better response than the other when the other bands played. So everybody kind of decided at that point they were going to leave their bands, and we were going to focus on Zebrahead. And so that's kind of how it started.
And, well, I'm glad we went through that, because I don't like misconceptions either, and I wanted to pose it that way because I'd read some different things on this, and I figured it would be better just to approach it that way.
Oh, yeah, and no worries. A lot of people, I don't know why or where that's written, but a lot of people have had that misconception.
It's a few different places on the internet, among other things. Do you mind if I bust you guys out on some of the movies that you guys have had songs in, because I think this is incredible. You guys have a resume for movie soundtracks. You haven't been able to have them on there, I think, longer than most bands do. Is it okay if I mention this? Because by doing this, too, if people are listening to something like Zebrahead, why don't know Zebrahead, they're going to remember this. Is it okay if I go through a few of these?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Because, Ali, I think this is a great accomplishment, too. Okay. you guys have Jagoff from the David Spade comedy Lost and Found, where he's got the movie about the dog.
Right.
And then you have a song, Idle Hands. And then you guys are also on one of the Duke Nukem games. And then you're in Bring It On, the song I'm Money. And then you have Now or Never, which was in Little Nicky. And then you have Playmate of the Year and Dude, Where's My Car? And you have Now or Never, which is in one of the, actually you have two songs in Warren Miller films. One is Now or Never and one is I Am. You have a song in Godzilla, The Final Wars. And, I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and stuff with video games and some more movies. And you even had a song called, the song Hell Yeah was in Knight Rider back in 2008. And you also even have, I mean, you even have one of your song posters in Superbad. I mean, you guys have had so much exposure out there. But has anybody ever come to you? Because I think it's kind of funny sometimes with so much media and everything. Has anybody ever come back to you and go, I know you guys, but I don't remember where?
Yeah, that does happen. Or they'll say, this happens more often than that is, they'll come to a show or something and go, yeah, my buddy dragged me out here and I've never heard of you guys, and then I heard you play, Now or Never, and I remember that song from the movie, and, so then they'll kind of put two and two together. So we do get that often, and it's cool, whatever, I think anything at this point, if you can get your song out there and people can listen to it at some point, hopefully down the line, if they don't know your band, they'll remember the song and it can come across you in another way.
No, that's fair enough. You have 9 albums out, and just before we go into the new album, Get Nice, do you want to mention anything about any of the previous albums, like maybe something that sticks out for one or two of the albums, or maybe there's a favorite song that you guys just love playing from one of the earlier albums?
I think it might be kind of apparent when you write an album, you're kind of proud of that album, and for me, there's something that I personally relate to for some reason. Either I was going through something when I was writing it, or we were going through something as a band as we were working on the album. But all the albums are pretty special to me. I would say, Waste of Mine obviously was our first album, and that was really special to me because it was our first time recording, and in that experience, everything is new and exciting, and you're kind of learning, and so when I think about that album, I have really fond memories of that album, and as we Broadcast the World, I think was another album that I was really proud of, just because that was when Manny joined the band, and it was a whole different experience having him there, and I think we really worked hard on the album to make it as good as we could, since Manny was new to the band. So those two albums, I think, are two really important albums for me personally, and as a band for us, because I think it really showed what we were made of, more than possibly any other album.
Can we talk about one other song, though, because when I started going through back songs on you guys, I saw this and I started dying laughing, because I realized at that point, other than the new album, you guys have a definite sense of humor throughout all of your music. You guys wrote a song called You for Ugly.
You for Ugly, yeah.
Yeah, which almost sounds like a Stewie comment from Family Guy.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a bunch of, what we do, is when we're working on songs, we just give them random names, because, obviously they're not done yet. We change our songs so much when we're working on them. So we just give them kind of funny names that we kind of laugh at when we have to call out a name to work on. And oftentimes we get used to the name and we don't change it, and so they just stick. And so that was one of them.
Well, that song also shows basically that you guys have a sense of humor, but it also shows you guys will take issues. And even if they may be minor issues to a lot of people, they're kind of they're fairly relevant social issues about somebody that gets an attitude and they're really snotty and they think they're better than you. So And it's almost like in some senses along with it, we're going to the new album with the song She Don't Wanna Rock. Were you guys inspired by Twisted Sister's We're Not Gonna Take It at all?
Definitely, I think that did have that was a big inspiration, but more than that, I think I talked to you a little bit before the interview about relationships and like when you meet somebody and
can we save that for when we go into the song? Unless you want to do that one first. Did you want to do that?
Whatever you want to do.
Okay.
If you want to wait on that, that's fine.
Yeah, just for a second, let me do this first. The album is called Get Nice.
Right.
And it's been out over here in the States for just a few weeks. And it's your ninth studio album. And I wanted to just kind of get that out of the way first. I'm sorry about that. That's my fault.
No worries.
That's my fault. So anyway, go ahead. So when you're writing songs.
Yeah, so when we're writing songs, and this has, been this way for a while now, we have tentative names for the songs so we all know what song we're talking about while we're working on it, and usually we try to make up kind of funny names or whatever just to amuse ourselves, and we get so used to calling that song by that name that after it's done, sometimes we'll just keep the working title, and I think like Rated E for Ugly is one that you mentioned, and like Nudist Priest, which is on the new Get Nice album, we just kept that one, and there's a few other ones as well, but I think it's kind of our personality, as much as we do like to work hard on writing our music, it's, there has to be some sense of levity, and you have to be able to laugh at yourself, and we laugh at ourselves all the time, so.
Well, you guys definitely have no problem doing different things that are just a little different. Like, I'm going to go back for a second. You guys also did an album called Panty Raid, which is all covers by female artists, and it's not what somebody would necessarily think, because you guys not only do stuff like Mickey and stuff like that, but you guys cover the Spice Girls.
Yeah.
And you guys cover Jennifer Lopez doing, of all songs, I don't think anybody would really think of, like I can see the song Girlfriend, and like the Avril Lavigne, but I mean, Jenny from the Block, I think is something that would be so out of character for more of a rock band, and I think that's just great. Again, is there part of like a sense of humor, we're going to do this and people aren't going to kind of expect that type of thing, and we'll let them figure it out, or is it just mainly because, well, we like the songs, we'll just do it this way, or it seems like in some senses a sense of humor always creeps into elements of everything you do, not in a malicious way, but in a fun, it's just a fun, let's have a good time way.
Well, yeah, I think for us, as a band, we don't like to do anything unless we're enjoying it or having fun, and, if you know any of us in the band, we're kind of dorks, and we can pretty much laugh at ourselves because there's a lot to laugh at, quite frankly. So, when we have an idea, we'll just work through it, and if it's good, if we think it's good, we'll keep it and release it. And we generally don't sit there and go, man, if we like this song, or if we do this cover, people are going to think we're stupid, or people are going to think we suck, or whatever. You can't really go about being creative and think that way, I don't think. So I think, we just put out whatever we like and whatever we would listen to. And, so far, fortunately enough, people have liked it as well. So, but we never sit there and go, hey, what would people like us to do? Let's do that. Because I don't think that's really being true to yourself, or that's not, as an artist, you can't really think that way and be as creative as you can and as potentially be.
Do you mind if I make a comparison a little bit? I don't do this that often, but do you mind if I make a comparison a little bit in a complimentary way?
Sure, yeah.
It's kind of
doesn't
like...
have to be complimentary.
Well, I have a tendency to do that sometimes. You can blame my parents for my upbringing. I don't know. No, you guys are kind of like some 41 in a sense, but you guys went a lot further, and this is not to knock them, but you guys took everything out of the genre and kept its sense of humor and just kept going. and kept moving and made it more fun. And this is not a knock on them, but it's kind of like taking the concept and the idea, and you guys kind of came up around the same time in a sense, but it's like kind of taking the idea and moving further and bigger with it, kind of like a lot of bands came up. Twisted Sister kind of did their thing. They had a tongue-in-cheek sense of humor where some other bands have too, but they just kept going further and bigger with it.
Right, I mean, you know, I'm a big Sum 41 fan.
Oh, I am too.
You mentioning that's really cool to use. But, yeah, I mean, you know, again, we tend to just work on stuff that inspires us, you know, and that we would ultimately would I listen to this song or would I buy this album? And that's kind of how we measure whether or not a song or an album is good enough for us to continue working on. And that's kind of worked well for us. So we've just done that since we started, and I don't think that's going to change for us.
Well, let's go into the album, and we'll go. Do you want to do track? Because I have the track listing. Do you want to go track by track? Do you want to jump around? How would you want to do this?
You know, we can jump around if you want.
Ali, I'm going to let you lead it any way you want to go. Do you also want to mention are people able to get the Japanese bonus singles as well if they go to like iTunes or anywhere? Can they get those, or Reverb Nation if you guys have the page? Can anybody get that as well?
I believe, I know if you buy a Japanese import, you get it. I'm not sure how strict they are on allowing you to purchase it here in the States. But yeah, there's two other songs that aren't on the American version of Get Nice that are on the Japanese version.
Yeah, can we start there? Because one of them, I'm going to start with one of them, a freak gasoline fight accident. And I actually went to school people. I could see doing that.
That's a reference to one of my favorite movies, it's Zoolander. And I don't know if you remember this, but his friends was like, you know, go get orange mocha frappuccinos and go to get gas, and they start doing this stupid like gasoline fight.
Yeah.
While pouring gasoline on each other, and one of the dudes is like lights up a cigarette, and they all blow up and die, and so all these like male models explode in this freak gasoline fight accident. So I always thought that was really funny. That's where that name came from. But you know, for me, the two bonus songs, the Japanese bonus songs, I really like as well. And you know, we're considering just putting them on all the releases, but we decided to cut it down to 14 songs because we didn't want the album to go on too long and have people get bored of it. So we kept those two songs, even though I really like those two songs, and put them in the Japanese version.
And then the other one is, if anybody can find it or they want to look for it, it's called Light Up the Sky.
Light Up the Sky, yes.
And then, well, I'm going to let you kind of lead. I wanted to mention that first, and so everybody can go look. People are going to listen to this and start hunting for this now. So take us through the 14 tracks any which way you want to go. And I got to compliment you this too. I think personally, and I always liked it when I had a song, if I had an album that was more than 10 songs, or if it was listed as 10 songs, but there was like the hidden bonus track on there, you know, it was always cool. It was like extra for your money. And, you know, I always kind of felt like, you know, I was getting more value for the money, and it was nice. Because, like, Metallica songs, I think a lot of times in the beginning there were like 8 of them. I'm like, man, I want more. So I think this is really kind of cool that you did that. I think 14 is a good number. So go ahead and start any way that you want to go, and I'll just follow along.
All right, well, you know, we'll just start from the top, I guess, and go through, and you know, hopefully that won't take too long. But the first song, Blackout, was one of the first songs we actually finished on the album. And at the time, I don't know if we mentioned this earlier or not, but Jason Freeze was a producer who co-produced the album with us. And Jason's a good friend of ours. He actually did the 10-8 album, and he plays keyboards in Green Day, and he's been a long-time friend. So working with him was really interesting because when we did the 10-8 album, these songs were written, but it was such a smooth. The recording process was so smooth that when we were talking about doing Get Nice, we thought, you know, we should definitely work with Jason. Just because everything ran so smoothly, and this album, he really helped us sure, you know, got this certain kind of guitar sound, drums, bass sound, the vocal qualities and stuff. So Blackout was kind of the outline for the sound quality of the songs for the album. And that was the first song that was mixed thoroughly and then finished on Get Nice. So that I thought was kind of an interesting thing to mention about that song. And actually, I think we are in the process of possibly recording a video for Blackout. So.
Oh, there's also an acoustic video out there of you guys playing over in Poland too.
Yeah, we did a few songs over there, and then I think we did a couple songs in Japan acoustically too. And acoustic songs are kind of weird for us because we're kind of a loud band, and anytime people are like, hey, you should play acoustic songs, we're kind of like, really, I don't know. It comes across the way we want the song to come across when we do acoustic songs, but they're so fun to do, and we're kind of bored that way. If somebody wants us to do something, we're like, we'll do it.
Well, I got to tell you, you guys are extremely high energy too. I think the last time I think I've seen a show that high energy was about a year ago when I saw Agent Orange.
Dude, thank you. We do a lot of crystal nuts before we go bang. So it really helps.
Oh, God. No, that's awesome, dude. Oh, that was out of left field. Okay. Anyway, Nothing to Lose.
Nothing to Lose. Okay, so this song actually, we had another song years ago that we never finished. We had just a few parts that we really liked on the song, but we couldn't make them work together. So what we ended up doing for Nothing to Lose was we had one song that we liked the choruses, the melody, and then we had the old song which had these verses that we really liked. So we took the verses from our old song and used the melody that we came up with for the new song and kind of put them together and wrote the lyrics of the chorus around the verse lyrics of the old song. So this is like a Frankenstein song. These things that got put together in that way. But again, I really like this song. It's an uplifting song, and so and that's something we hadn't done too much of in the past albums. There was like darker songs, and on this album, I think we have some more uplifting, upbeat songs, which I think is kind of cool.
And then the song I actually rudely interrupted you on to plug the album, and I do apologize for that.
No worries, man.
It's She Don't Want to Rock, and you were going on a thought about that. And I'm going to let you kind of finish your thoughts on that. But let me preface this, though. I heard the song, and then I go to watch the video. I was watching it about 15 minutes before you called. And I thought two things. I thought, number one, okay, that's why I brought the Twisted Sister come up. These guys must have been inspired by Twisted Sister. It's similar. It's not a ripoff, but it's kind of the idea of what you see in We're Not Gonna Take It. And it kind of has the feel of like I Want to Rock in a sense. And, you're looking at that and going, oh my God. And then the lyrics kick in, and when you hear that, I married that at one point. I was married to that girl.
That's what you were saying, man.
Yeah, it's like, I was saying it so anybody understands. I know that you don't generally like doing this, but do you mind if I just bust out, we talk a little bit about the one song? I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory anyway.
Yeah, definitely. But, go ahead. This one's pretty easy to understand. Right?
Yeah, and it's not one of those songs that's going to have a lot of different personal meanings for a lot of different people, except for that relationship they're in with that same type of girl. I was married to somebody for a little bit that I met on a major dating site. I'll leave that off the record, but I do not have the good testimonial for them. I have the one person with the not good testimonial. And this girl, when we were talking, I was doing the magazine, and I just basically a year before, that year actually, I just started the magazine. And so we're sitting there, I'm like, well, one big thing for me is I'm really into concerts. I like a lot of different music, but I also love rock and roll, and I love metal, and I love punk, and I love this and I love that. she goes, that's cool, and I love Bon Jovi, and I like this, and I like that. I'm like, cool. We go to a Bon Jovi concert one night, and then after that, we go to see friends of mine play in a cover in an 80s, early 90s metal band, more hair band, but a little bit, you know, they'll do a little Maiden, a little Priest, and a little this and that too. And she says, I don't like this, and I don't want to go see this anymore. And I'm thinking, we just came from Bon Jovi concert. And 3 weeks ago, you like these guys. And when I heard that song, I'm going, yeah, that's what I was married to.
Yeah, and I think, you know, a lot of people that I've talked to have had similar experiences on the subject. I think it's like anything, you know, you mentioned to me that you had a lot of friends that, you know, they got married or, you know, was the girlfriends for a long time, and the girlfriends are still into the music and into going to shows and stuff. I've kind of had the opposite experience of a lot of my friends have gone through, which is, you know, you get a little older and, you know, your chick doesn't really want to go to shows that much anymore, doesn't really care so much about music anymore, and if you're really passionate about it, it really, really sucks. And that's kind of what this song is about. And we got to wear really cool 80s metal outfits and gear, so that was a whole other reason for us to record this song.
Yeah, you look like you had some of my friends in the video, too.
If that's what we were talking about, like, we're super bummed. Why can't it be like that now? Because that would be amazing. If you could dress like that, like, regularly, go to Starbucks, you know, just rocking tight like leopard tights and a leather jacket and some lipstick. Why not?
I still know people that do that.
We'll say it again?
I still know some people that do that.
Dude, I want to hang out with them.
Dude, I still have I'll tell you this afterwards when we're done, but anyway, so we're going to sidetrack too much. But no, I think that was great because one thing I think that song it is the epitome of two in one sense for you guys is the fact that you guys can write great music. You guys can also at the same time be catchy with it, not in a bad way, in a good way, and you guys can do something that's timelessly relevant, and you guys play something that can do something that just rocks and it also makes you think. I mean, you guys kind of have everything in one sense, all in a nutshell in that song. I think it's just, it shows how diverse you guys are and how many different directions you can go, and I think it was a great song, and the video was great. Whoever came up with the idea for that video just should get the golden star.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I think it was like our drummer, Ed, I think that came up with the concept of the video, but, you know, Maddie kind of came up with the concept for the song, so I think, you know, those two dudes, they get the gold stars together on that one.
Well, I have 3 gold stars.
Okay, well, I'll pick the third one if they're hand them out.
Oh, absolutely. Anyway, Ricky Bobby.
Okay, so Ricky Bobby actually, that's kind of a funny story. So we're going to track it. This was like the third to last song we tracked or whatever, and I go in to do my part, and I was like working on my part and stuff, and I go in there and I record it, and then I think it was Ben, our bass player, was in the studio with Jason. I'm not sure where the rest of the guys were, but I, you know, recorded it, and you know, there was a kind of quiet on the other end after I did my first run through it, and I was like, oh god, you know, something's got to be wrong, you know, there's too quiet back there, and then Ben on the mic, he goes, hey dude, can you put your lyrics down? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, alright, Jason's gonna play back, and I just want you to kind of freestyle whatever comes out of your head on the song. I was like, oh god, you really hate my part, you know, obviously. And I was kind of because I've worked on it so much. But so they recorded it, and I wrote my parts on that song on the spot there. So, and they really liked it when I just kind of started screaming, and it turned out to be the first single off of the album. It's a little bit of a heavier song, but it's you know, that's kind of the story behind that one.
Nice. And then I'm going to go back. We're going to go back around, if it's okay, I'll jump around a couple. Nudist Priest, which is track number 7.
Yeah. Nudist Priest is actually one of my favorite songs on the album. I think we have several songs on the album that are kind of more uplifting, but this is another one of the songs that I feel is kind of like an anthem kind of type of song where when I hear it, it really pumps me up. And when we play this song live, a lot of the fans and the kids come to shows really like blow out their voice and singing along. But this was a song that we wrote several times because we thought it had a lot of potential. Initially, it had a lot more. It had this crazy guitar effect that Maddie found. It made it kind of, I don't know, electro sounding, and then we played around with that for a little while, and then it ended up more of a ska. We thought it sounded cooler with the ska guitars, so it went kind of from more of an electric sounding guitar to more of a ska guitar sound, which I think really made the song cool.
And then so we'll go back to track 5, which is Get Nice, which is also the name of the album.
Yeah, Get Nice, I think, is one of the more important songs for us as a band on the album. We were working on this song actually when the earthquake and tsunami hit Japan, and obviously we have a lot of friends there just because we've been going there for such a long time and fans, and seeing the devastation and all the hardship people were going through, we were thinking of, what could we possibly do to help being here in America. And so for us, growing up listening to music, oftentimes going through a hard time, music helped me out personally, and I related to it in a way, and it got me through the hard time and kind of motivated me to move on and to become stronger from the things that I've gone through. And so when we were working on Get Nice, the lyrics were completely different, and we rewrote the lyrics to that song and tried to kind of tell our fans and our friends in Japan mainly while they're going through this hardship, and not only that, but even in the States, like the economy and how it is with everybody here, to kind of look at your experiences as something that makes you stronger and that you can build upon, through your experiences, and keep looking forward and just get through the negative things that are going on in your life and move on. And so after we wrote Get Nice, we went through some of the other songs because we really liked the feel. We wanted the album to have a beat feel and motivational feel, not to be like preachy, but to have that kind of thing where it would be something I would listen to, or we would listen to if we were going through such a difficult time. And we went back and rewrote some of the other songs to kind of get that feel down for the album. And then so we thought it would be appropriate to name the album Get Nice as well.
And what was the reaction, particularly from the fans over in Japan, when they found out that you guys did this specifically for them? What's kind of some of the feedback that you've gotten?
Oh man, like I said, our Japanese fans and the culture there is just amazing. And obviously it was very positive, and I think they appreciated it. And more than anything, our hope was to kind of get them to understand that this is going to be permanent, and that this is something that they can move past and grow from. And so it was great. We were there. We did a festival over there called Summer Sonic a few months ago, and it was so nice and just so glad to see us, and we were so glad to see them and just to see the country and make sure, because here you can't really know for sure what it's like over there. And I mean, it is still devastated. There's areas that are unlivable. People still are starving there and need a lot of help. And it's not in the news anymore, really. And that's something that I think is important to remember, is that country still needs a lot of help. And if there's any way you can contribute, go to redcross.com and give whatever you can there, or if you can set up something in your community to aid the people in Japan. But
anything for them too? Like anything through, which we'll get to the website in a little bit, but is there anything like on the website where you guys are personally doing some stuff, tour involvement, some stuff where people can help out that way too?
Yeah, you know, we have had the Red Cross on our website. They can just click on and donate money if you can, or you know, like you can send clothes. We actually had a warehouse full of t-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff, and when all this happened, we learned that some of the areas people lost everything, they didn't have clothes and anything. So, you know, we donated our warehouse of stuff to the people there. But you know, if you can donate clothes, if you can, there's so many ways to help. And it's thankful for the internet. If you just look it up online, there's several ways to help. But if you go on our website or the redcross.com website, there's ways to help there as well.
Okay. And that's actually kind of tough to follow after that, and it's actually kind of a good thought point, and I hope everybody thinks about that too. The Joke's on You.
The Joke's on You. That was actually a song where we wrote relatively quickly. Some songs take longer to write. Other ones, for some reason or another, we worked on that song for like 2 days, and we were finished with it, and we were very happy with it. Whereas there's a few other songs that I can mention that literally I rewrote 12 times. So The Joke's on You is one of those songs that came to us easily, and I think it was pleasant in that way for us. And a lot of times we feel better songs are the ones that do come to you really quickly. So, and that would be The Joke's on You.
And then Galileo Was Wrong.
Galileo Was Wrong. That song started off with a really cool guitar riff that I believe Greg came up with, and this was one of the songs that I wrote a few times before I felt like it was good enough for the guitar riff and for the music around it. Matty came up with his melodies and stuff pretty easily, and for me, I really liked his stuff so much that I kept pushing myself to try to come up with something that was as good as the stuff that everybody else wrote. So, and again, like, this is another song that is, you could relate it to some people in your life. If you ever known people that they feel like, they've, for some reason or another, they're more important, or their agenda is more important than yours. And that was kind of what I ended up writing my part of the song about. Nice.
And then this is one that makes you think and take notice: Truck Stops and Taillights.
Yeah. This song actually was a song that we deconstructed. It was a different song, and then we kind of tore it apart and rewrote it. This one took a little while as well, but initially we were really happy with the guitar lead on this song, and it was something that we wrote a long time ago. I think Matty wrote it, and he played that part, and it was such a strong hook, we thought. And we wrote several versions of it, and finally, I think, this was one of the last songs we finished while we were recording the album. We came up with this version of it, and when we finally finished the song, this was actually, I think, because the band voted, we got to vote on, which one's top, we rate the songs. I think this was at number 3 as a band favorite, so I really like this song. It's a good one.
And then I'm definitely not going to miss you.
This one is one of the ones that we actually finished early on, and it's more of an upbeat song, musically, but lyrically it's not, so it's kind of interesting in that way. And it's a 3/4 rhythm on this song, which we don't have on the album other than this song, which is interesting as well. But this one was one that we kind of had done initially, and we kept revisiting it to see if there's anything that we felt like we could improve upon. But ultimately, I think it was one that came to us pretty easily.
Ali, did it challenge you guys at all working in a different time signature like that?
We've done it in the past, and I think for me, when I do my part, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more difficult because I am used to not having that time signature in most of our songs, even though we've done it before. And usually it takes me a little bit longer on songs like this or in this time signature, but for some reason, this time around, it wasn't. It was, I think, my second draft on my part of the song that became the final draft. So it wasn't as bad, as hard to write for me as it normally is on that signature.
Got ya. And then we've got 4 more here, and I'm going to jump around because I'm going to kind of. It's kind of funny how some of these will work together. I'm definitely not going to miss you, and then we'll go to This Is Going to Hurt You Way More Than It's Going to Hurt Me.
Yeah, this song actually, we wrote this song in, I think, maybe 3 hours. This was one of the faster songs. This one and Too Bored to Bleed, we wrote in 2 consecutive days, and it was kind of like, I didn't mention this earlier, but this is the first album we recorded in our own studio, so it was kind of interesting because for the first time we didn't have to rely on other bands coming in or worry about other bands coming in and how much time we had left, and what time could we get there in the studio. So for Too Bored to Bleed and This Is Going to Hurt You Way More Than It's Going to Hurt Me, I remember we were just really inspired, and we literally just sat in the studio for 2 days and were there really early in the morning and stayed up really late at night. And after the 2 days were done, lyrically and melodically, musically, everything, those 2 songs were completed. And they're 2 of my favorite songs, which again, for some reason, when it becomes to you quicker, I don't know, when it feels right off the bat, I think there's something to be said about that, when you don't have to work super hard on it. But again, Too Bored to Bleed and This Is Going to Hurt You Way More Than It's Going to Hurt Me were written in 2 days, like one right after another.
Well, I didn't know you guys have your own studio. Are you guys going to be bringing in other people and recording them as well? Because some artists will do that, and some artists it's just for their studio, primarily for them.
Yeah, the thing is, we've talked about doing that, like bringing other bands possibly to work in there while we're not recording an album. But ever since we got the studio, we kind of have been writing consecutively. Like even when this album was done, we continued to write, and so I think we're still, enjoying the fact that nobody else is in there right now, and we can continue to write. And since we're kind of inspired by it, we haven't had any other bands come in to work in there. I think Jason Freeze, while we were on tour, again, he's a good friend, he lives right by us. I think he recorded a couple of things in there while we were on tour, but we haven't, as a band, had anybody else go in there yet.
Well, the reason why I asked was, if anytime down the road, if you guys end up doing that, I'd be happy to plug it for you guys to help out.
Oh, right on, yeah, I appreciate that. I'll let you know. And that's the plan. Ultimately, when we made the studio, we're like, when we're not using it, we could, have other bands come in. But we've just got so stoked on the fact that you can go at any time. We didn't have to worry about other bands, that we just kind of put that on the back burner for now.
Yeah, and what we can do is we can just primarily talk about the studio and everything when we do that too, but...
Okay, cool.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And then, Kiss Your Ass Goodbye.
Okay, so Kiss Your Ass Goodbye is actually, for me, was the hardest song to write. I literally wrote, I think, 14 versions of that song. Ed came in with this idea of this piano part that he plays, and he came to me with just that, and it was just that and a drum beat, pretty much. And then Manny heard it right off the bat, like when he heard it, he came up with the melody for the chorus and lyrics for the chorus. And so this was one of the first songs that we started working on, but literally this was the last song I recorded, and I recorded it like 14 times before finally I think I got it right, and it was like a labor of love for me on this song, because I freaking hated the song while I was working on it, but when it was done, it's one of my favorite ones. and one of the hardest ones for me.
And then the last track is Demon Days.
Demon Days, yes. Actually, Demon Days was, I think, top 3 or 4 songs initially when we started. It's a heavier song, and initially when we started, we were working on more heavier songs, and we wrote that song relatively quickly. It was one of the first, I think, like I said, first 4 songs that were done on the album, and we just kind of put it in our pocket and revisited it at the very end. And we after listening to it for a few months, we felt like it was didn't really need too much tweaking. And so I think we just did the guitar, the solos and stuff at the very end. But as far as the structure and lyrics and melodies and stuff, that was one of the first songs done. And actually, we put this one at the very end because it's one of our favorite songs. And I always hate it when you're listening to an album and like the first 3 or 4 songs are the best songs. And then by the time you get to like song number 14, you're like, hey, what the hell is this, And this one is one of the ones that we all really, really like. So we wanted to put it at the very end to make sure that, by the end of the album, people didn't think the album was getting weaker. So it's I think, one of the strongest songs on the album.
Have you noticed that lately, in the last couple of years, music overall has gotten a lot better?
I think that is true only in the sense that how much effort I put into finding new music personally, or in the mood I'm in, or what kind of music I'm into at the time, because I think there's good music all the time, dude, and sometimes I just don't look hard enough, because I'll have friends mention bands to me, and I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I'll check that out or whatever, and then I don't, and then, a couple years later, somebody else will mention it, and I'll listen to it, and I'll be like, well, that was a really good, album, too bad it's 2 years old,
What I mean by that is I think that with what you guys are doing and with some of the newer bands that have come up in the last couple of years, I think it's kind of like going back, and I think for a few years there was kind of more of a lax attitude generally in a lot of music, or a lot of the good music just wasn't getting to the forefront. It wasn't getting a lot of radio airplay.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it was like, satellite radio's been a godsend, the internet's been a godsend, but it seems like just a lot of the music that came out in the marketplace, it would seem like, that's okay, what do you think of the album? They had a couple good songs, and it used to be, I remember as a kid, it was like everything you got in an album was great. Maybe there was a bad song, and then the last couple, 3, 4 years, you start listening to music again, and particularly everything that you got, there were always exceptions, like you'd have this band or that band, like Sum 41 was a good example. Green Day, when they first did their first album, you're like The Offspring. You had bands that were doing stuff always that were good, but it just seemed like overall it was like, And it seems like now, and maybe Satellite's response to this, but it seems like, and I listen to Satellite primarily, and it seems like everything that comes out new is really cool, and nothing's bad on all the albums are really good. Everything on the album is really good. It just seems like in some ways, and I've got to give you guys credit for this, a lot of the newer bands that came up, a lot of the older bands that I think maybe took a look at it, or they've kind of come back and they've basically, everybody's kind of given the big middle finger in a sense to all of it, going, you know what, we're going to do stuff that we really love. We don't care. We're just going to go out and do stuff. I think that in some ways in the last 3 years there's been this resurgence of damn the torpedoes full speed ahead. We don't care what anybody says. We're just going to go back and produce good music. And if it hits, it hits. It doesn't, it doesn't.
Well, yeah, I think ultimately, man, as a musician, you have to kind of rely on writing in your instincts and writing what you think is good. And if you're sitting there and trying to follow a trend, like, oh man, this band's hiring now, so I'm gonna make, our album should sound like this now. I think ultimately you're cheating, the fans that you do have, and the people that hear you for the first time or whatever are gonna see that it's fake, and I think that's one thing people don't fully appreciate is how easy people can see through when something's trying to be too gimmicky or trying to line like some kind of bandwagon. And I think people respect artists that are true to be who they are and write music because they love that style of music, and that's who they are, and they're not trying to be something else. And I think that has a lot to do with what you're talking about as well, because I think ultimately I don't know if it's like you mentioned satellite radio, it's the competition of nowadays with satellite radio you can listen to any kind of music that you want, and only the best of that style of music will get played. And now people are realizing we should stick to what we know best, and we're making the strongest album we can. But I think that's very important, and that's a really good point. As long as you're being true to yourself and true to the music that you like to listen to, and believe that it's the best that you can do, then at least you'll be successful and you'll be happy with yourself.
Well, Ali, I wanted to bring that up because you said that you guys had felt this is perhaps one of the strongest releases you guys had ever put out. You said that earlier in the conversation.
Yeah.
And it seems like it used to be like back in the 80s, I'm not going to mention any names, but there were what are now termed hair bands, where sometimes the second and the third album would just be spectacular. The fourth album would kind of fall off a little bit, and then maybe the fifth album would be great or would tank, and then they come back later and the sixth album would be just magnificent. And it just seems like every album now from every band that's coming out, for whatever happened, I don't know, maybe there's something that you guys pick up that I don't know, maybe you guys can put it more into words, but it seems like there's something there in the universe or in the atmosphere or in the water or something where it's just that everything just gets better and better and better now. And it's kind of like music's kind of gone full circle back to the heyday of the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, and it's up through the 80s where it's just the music gets better and better and better again. I'm just like a kid on Christmas morning every time I hear a new album now.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I've done a few albums recently that I've been really impressed with as well, and I just hope it continues on like this. And it's good for everybody when there's a slew of great albums rather than 2 or 3 really good albums and a bunch of crappy ones.
But that's where I have to compliment you guys too, because you guys did. And this is kind of a long way to go to pay a compliment, but you guys really, really did knock yourselves on this album. You guys put out an amazing album. There's not one, I'm saying this a lot now. I've been saying this a lot in the last year plus. There is basically not one, this is what amazes me. Every time I'm doing an interview, I'm just about saying this, and I come from a very objective place. I don't take compliments very, very lackadaisically. I pay if it's really, really objective, if it really fits the genre of what they do, if the band's really good. It's not because I like it. It's not because I can compliment Cookie Monster bands all day long. I'm not a fan of Cookie Monster, but I'm just not. That personally drives me back. But there are some great Cookie Monster bands out there. I mean, there's no question. I mean, they just do a really, really good job, and I can't knock them for it. So if I pay a compliment like this, it really comes from that place of being objective, just looking at it, the sum total of its parts and everything. And you guys did, along with a lot of other bands, not lump you guys in there, because every band is also distinguishing itself with something special and separate. But you guys have not one throwaway song on the album, and for that I have to compliment you, sir.